Somewhere out in open water, a diver is floating with no floor beneath them. Just blue, going down into black. And somewhere below that diver, something is making the loudest sound produced by any living thing on this planet. Listen to this. 236 decibels. That number is real. It has been measured, in the water, by researchers with hydrophone arrays. And it belongs to the sperm whale, not the blue whale, which is bigger. Not any of the things you would guess. A sperm whale click is the loudest biological sound we have ever recorded. Now, decibels underwater are measured on a different scale than decibels in air, so that number does not translate directly. When you do the conversion properly, a 236 decibel click works out to somewhere around 175 decibels in air, which sounds like less. It is not. A jet engine at takeoff is about 140. A rifle next to your ear is around 165. So this animal, with its face, produces something louder than a rifle shot, thousands of times a day, without opening its mouth. And here is what divers close to one consistently describe. You do not hear it. You feel it. It arrives in your chest, in the bones of your skull, like being thumped from the inside. Water carries sound 4.5 times faster than air, and it couples straight into your body. To that sound wave, you are not a solid object. You are a slightly different flavor of ocean. There is a story that goes with this, that a click at close range can rupture your organs, paralyze you, vibrate you to death. Here is the paradox. This is a 45-ton predator carrying the most powerful sound-generating organ evolution has ever built. And in all the years humans have been getting in the water with them, meters from an animal the size of a bus, it has never once turned it on us. So the question is not whether they could, it is why they do not. To understand the restraint, you have to understand the machine, and it is the strangest head in the animal kingdom. A sperm whale's head is roughly a third of its entire body length, an enormous, blunt forehead pushed out ahead of the body like the bow of a ship. It looks like a design mistake. It is an instrument. Inside are 2 oil-filled chambers. The upper one is the spermaceti organ. Below it sits the junk. Together they can weigh several tons, and they exist to do one thing: make a sound and aim it. Here is how, and it is closer to engineering than biology. Just under the blowhole is a muscular structure called the museau de singe, the monkey lips. That is the actual anatomical name. The whale forces pressurized air through them. They snap shut, and that snap is the pulse. The pulse travels backward, the length of the head, and hits an air sac at the back of the skull shaped like a parabola, which does exactly what a parabolic dish does. It reflects the sound forward and focuses it. Then it runs forward through the junk, an acoustic lens, tightening the beam until it exits the forehead as a narrow, extremely loud click. The animal's face is a sound cannon with a reflector at one end and a lens at the other. The whalers who hunted these animals for a century and a half had no idea. They cut open the head, found a clear waxy oil that turned cloudy white in the air, and concluded, with tremendous confidence, that it was semen. That is where the name comes from. Sperm whale, spermaceti. We named the most sophisticated acoustic organ on Earth after a bodily fluid it has nothing to do with, then killed tens of thousands of them for the oil and burned it in lamps. The whale was carrying the most advanced sonar in the natural world. We used it for lighting. So why does an animal need this? Because of where it eats. Sperm whales dive past 1,000 meters and hold their breath over an hour into water where there is no light at all. Not dim. Zero. Their eyes are functionally decoration down there. So they hunt with sound. Clicks go out, hit something, come back, and from the echo, the whale builds a picture. They have the longest range biosonar we know of, able to find a squid in total darkness, in 3 dimensions, hundreds of meters away. And this is where the popular version of the story falls apart. For decades, there was a beautiful hypothesis called acoustic debilitation. The whale gets close to a squid, fires a click at full power, point blank, and the pressure wave stuns it, turns a fight into a pickup. It is also, as far as the data goes, dead. Researchers tagged wild sperm whales and recorded what they actually do in the final seconds of a hunt. And they do the opposite of what the theory predicted. Closing on prey, they go quiet. The clicks get faster and dramatically weaker. dropping in power by a factor of 10 to 100. By the time the whale is on top of the squid, the sound reaching it is far too weak to hurt anything. They are not blasting. They are switching from a searchlight to a fine brush, rapid, quiet, high-resolution clicks, updating the picture in the last moment before the strike. One scientist described the stunning hypothesis afterward as a lovely idea killed by data. Sit with that, because it reframes the animal. The loudest creature on Earth, at the exact moment it is trying to kill something, turns the volume down. That is not a weapon. It never was. It is an eye. We have spent centuries telling ourselves a story about a monster carrying a cannon, and we were looking at an animal carrying a lantern. Which brings us back to the diver, with something enormous rising underneath them. When a sperm whale approaches a human, it does what it does with anything it wants to understand. It clicks, low power, exploratory. But this sound does not bounce off you. It goes into you. Soft tissue is close enough to water acoustically that the pulse passes through skin and muscle and reflects off the parts of you that are different: bone, air, fat. So the whale is not seeing a silhouette. It is getting something closer to an ultrasound, in one pulse, from meters away. And what it finds is not encouraging from a food perspective. Thin, light bones, two small air-filled lungs, almost no blubber. Nothing that reads as the dense, oily package a deep-diving predator wants. I want to be careful here because this is where documentaries overreach. Nobody has shown the whale runs a clean routine and files you under not food. That part is inference. What we can say is what happens, which is nothing, repeatedly for decades. The whale investigates, then goes back to what it was doing. And the thing that gets me is not the absence of aggression. It is the calm. Sperm whales appear to sleep vertically. They hang nose up, motionless, near the surface. Whole families suspended in the water column like a stand of trees, in bouts of 10 or 15 minutes. Researchers only described it properly in 2008, and in the one case they watched closely. A group did not react to a passing boat until it physically touched them. Newer work found they release bubbles to stop themselves floating up while they rest. Divers have floated in among sleeping pods, right there inside the group, while these animals hang in the dark. Now, some of you are typing about the Essex. You are right to. In 1820, a sperm whale rammed the Nantucket whale ship Essex, twice, deliberately, and sank it. That is the story that gave Melville Moby Dick. It happened again to the Anne Alexander in 1851. So no, it is not true that they have never hurt anyone. But look at what those cases share. Everyone involves a whale being actively hunted, harpooned, iron in its body, its family being killed around it. That is not predation. That is an animal fighting back. In every account, the whale used its body. It rammed. It bit boats in half. It never used the sound. The one thing it had that we had no defense against, it did not use, even then. So why not? The answer, as far as anyone can tell, is that the restraint is not just wiring. It is learned. Sperm whale families are led by older females. Calves are babysat by relatives, while their mothers are a kilometer down hunting. Groups stay together for decades. And they talk constantly in codas, patterned bursts of clicks. We used to treat codas as roughly Morse code. That framework has come apart fast. In 2024, researchers proposed a sperm whale phonetic alphabet, finding the codas are combinatorial, built from pieces that recombine with the same unit shifting meaning by context. In late 2025, a linguistics team found patterns inside them behaving like vowels, traded back and forth like dialogue. Nobody has translated a single sperm whale sentence. But the structure is there, and it is not what we expected. And these systems split into clans. Groups sharing the same water can have entirely distinct dialects, and whales associate by dialect rather than geography. Different hunting styles, different traditions, taught rather than inherited, which means culture in the technical sense. And cultures have rules about food. We know from orcas that clans hold rigidly to traditional prey and ignore things outside the menu, even when they are easy. We are not on the sperm whale menu. We never have been. And there is nobody in the clan who could teach a young whale otherwise. The loudest animal on this planet, carrying an instrument we could not have defended ourselves against, has spent its whole history with us, pointing it at squid and never at us. Not when we were curious. Not even, as far as the record shows, when we were killing them. And now the noise is going the other way. Our ships, our seismic surveys, our sonar have raised the background noise of the ocean until it interferes with the exact frequencies these animals use to find food and find each other. an animal whose entire world is built from sound, trying to hear through our noise. We spent centuries afraid of what was down there, building myths about a monster with a weapon in its head that could vibrate a person to pieces. And the thing in its head was never a weapon. It was a way of seeing. The only one in this relationship that has consistently made the other's world harder to live in is us. The quietest thing in the water was never the whale.